I was about 7 when I was started into theater, and they just put me on that stage. I was in this little show called Power in Its Touch. It was like this Jesus Christ musical, actually. Utah, hello. And I just remember being on that stage, and I was like, holy shoot, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
When I was a kid, I used to tell myself stories all the time. It was like my one outlet for basically everything. So as I'm vacuuming, I was pretending I was a princess. As I was like washing dishes, I was pretending I was Cinderella or like a warrior or something. So it's always been a really important part of my life, and it's gotten me through some of like the hardest times in my life is movies, TV shows, books especially. So I'm very dyslexic, so it's hard for me to read. So I think it's really cool that you can like explain the story in such a different, unique way. I think it's fun.
I just loved being this character and telling that story, and I just kept going. I've been doing it ever since. I'm actually a very much a rehearsal kind of gal. I love rehearsing. I love just trying new things and different choices, different tactics for everything. But I would have to say my favorite part is getting lost upstage, being the character.
When we get an audience involved, because I prefer theater. I love being able to have that energy exchange with the audience and hearing like the audience laugh and clap and enjoying the show.
Creating something that like an audience can connect to. They can be like, oh, I like see myself in that, or like, oh, I felt that before. I've had that happen to me before. Because I think, I don't know, everyone's a lot more connected than we realize, I guess. It's not really a job, but when I was like in kindergarten, or just younger, I would always go to the high school shows, and I was like, oh, I want to be one of the leads. And so it's not a job, but being a lead in a high school musical was probably my dream job as a child in theater. I was like, that's how you know you made it.
Being a movie star. Yeah, when I was 8, I was telling everyone, I was like, I want to be a movie star. So I'd always read aloud in class because everyone's like, oh, she wants to be the actor, so she's the one that gets to read out loud.
I love acting because it allows you to be like a whole like new person. And so because of that, you get to like experience someone else's kind of reality, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like for me, I've played a lot of roles that some people would consider like maybe not the best type of character, like they're really mean or like very I don't know, not good at communicating their feelings appropriately. And so like I don't know, I just thought that was fun though, because like it's something that I don't normally do. I don't normally like, you know, yell at people. At least I try not to, you know.
I think it's just portraying people, real or imaginary, and their stories, and trying to help audiences connect with ideas that they maybe haven't experienced before.
I think a lot of people think that it's just a matter of memorizing lines and getting in front of the camera, but there's so much work that goes into it behind the scenes before you ever show up on set, before you ever show up on like a stage or in the rehearsal hall. Memorizing lines is the worst. I hate, if I could take anything out of acting, it would be memorizing lines. But that's not the only work that goes into it. In order to like really understand a character and really be able to play them authentically, you have to understand them. And especially when you're playing characters that are making decisions or have opinions that you may not agree with, you have to find a way to get into the thought process and into the head of the character, which is sometimes hard. A lot of people say that actors, like, it's like, oh, you're an actor, so you must be really good at lying. But I don't think that's true. I think that as an actor, then you're just really good at telling the truth. Because you allow a lot of emotion that a lot of people don't let other people see, or like don't even let themselves express. And so I also think that being an actor is being really brave, because you're allowing those emotions and you're showing them like these emotions that nobody, like, not even lets themselves feel sometimes, then you're like showing it to everyone. It requires a great deal of empathy, I think. And I think that's probably the most all-encompassing word I could use for an actor is empathetic, because you can't play someone unless you understand them.
Everything. I love Bernie. She's honestly like a 16-year-old me. We love that Sydney. We're glad we're not that Sydney now, but we love that Sydney. Bernie is so strong and so determined, and I just love her love for theater and just her little quirkiness, her little things that she cares about it. She just cares with her entire soul about everything and everyone, and I love that about her.
Joanna she says what everyone won't say, and then everyone just kind of like pauses for a second, like, did that really just happen? And then they just keep going like it didn't happen. So that's my favorite. She's the most savage of all of us, I'd say.
Well, this is my favorite things is kind of like her one-liner, like rude thing she says, but I mean, I guess it's always being mean to someone, so that shouldn't be my favorite, but it probably is. She's like very sassy, and I love that. She needs to understand when that is appropriate and when it's not, but you know, that's okay. I love a sassy girl.
I really like how good a friend Sam is, because she's probably the only person in this universe that doesn't know anything about theater, and so she probably doesn't really care about theater either, but she knows how much it means to Bernie, and so even though she doesn't know anything or care anything about theater, then she's willing to listen when Bernie's having these issues and like talk through it and help her figure it out.
I've learned a lot about film. This is probably like my second or third film project. So even if it's just knowing like, oh, these are where the lights are, this is where I need to be aware there's a camera right here, but I'm not playing to the camera, but I need to be aware of it so I can still have like my moments like in view of the camera. It's just a different skill set.
It's been really cool to learn. I think that I realize is just how important like being passionate about your projects is. I don't know, Colleen. Just the difference between Colleen and Bernie. Bernie has so much passion and like excitement for what she's doing, and Colleen's like heart isn't in it, and she's just doing it for someone and something else and for other reasons. And so it's just a good reminder to like always go into the projects I'm doing like with my whole heart.
This doesn't necessarily have anything to do with acting, but one thing I thought of was just how effective communication and organization can be. Because I feel like, I mean, we've only been doing this for like 3 weeks, right? And I feel like there's been so much that we've been able to get done because right from the get-go, we have, you know, a clear schedule made and clear organization of all the materials that we need. And so I think if I've learned anything, it's just like, wow, like if you just have all that stuff set and prepared, like you can get a lot of stuff done really quickly. So, eating Pringles, that was great. I mean, of course, like meeting like all the people and stuff like that, like getting to like, you know, work with everyone was really fun. But also just like it was just fun walking in here every single shot and eating a Pringle, or like, you know, having to snag a giant stack of them when I leave, and that was fun. So.
Oh man, just pretty much any time I got to be by Liz Golden. Liz Golden she's awesome, and she's also the opposite of her character in real life. Because I have her as a professor in real life, and she's nothing like that. But she's good at pretending.
Me and Casey, who plays my brother, in episode 2, just us bullying each other around. I didn't expect that. We both just had this very sister-brother relationship that I've never met him before this, so we just played, and it was just fun. It just felt natural and real, so it was fun.
Okay, my first acting role was at Lehigh Children's Choir. I think that's what it was. And I was an acorn in the musical Nuts. I had like a brown trash bag that with arms and a head cut out with like shoved with newspapers and a little like acorn hat. Yeah, that was it. That's where it all started. I was like, I've got to do this for the rest of my life. This is it right here.
First acting role was Cinderella with a Twist. It was a community theater production that my mom wrote and directed, and I played the fairy godmother, and it was freaking awesome. I got to fall backwards out of a chair. She was slightly crazy. It was amazing. I got laughs up and down the walls. It was great. I loved it.
Follow up to that, how old were you?
I was like 9.
I was in this middle school production of Alice in Wonderland that was called Alice's Adventures with Poorly Cooked Cafeteria Seafood. And I played Alice. So that was like my first role, and I never left the stage, and it was pretty fun. Kind of weird, but fun.
Oh, yikes. I think I was like a butterfly in Winnie the Pooh when I was like 9 years old, and I was like, this is so cool. It was awful. If you find a picture, I look horrendous. I really like the intimacy of it, because on stage then you're usually a distance, but then with camera then it's usually like right there, and so I really like how you can just see like every little expression that people are making. And then I also feel like, because even though there's like a ton of people behind a camera, then for some reason it just feels more realistic being on camera, because it's not just like a set on a stage. Like sometimes like you like will, like with Backstage Bernie, then we were just like in a classroom, and it wasn't just like classroom stuff put on stage, like you were actually in a classroom. So I don't know why, but like I just really like the realisticness of film. It's just really cool to get to be a person in so much detail that you just can't do in any other medium. You can't do that in theater. You have to be super duper loud, and you have to be able to make it to the back of the audience and everything. But in film, it's like when your character is whispering, they're actually whispering. When they're crying, there's actual tears coming down their face. When they're happy and they're just basking in the sun, like there's just this detail that you don't get in any other medium, and this level of intimacy you get to have with a character that you don't get in any other medium, which I think is cool.
I just like creating art, and I love getting lost in a character. I love the camera because it doesn't hide anything. It doesn't hide anything.